Thanks for coming out. Are you guys ready to talk about numbers? All right. So, I was planning to treat this like a classroom style approach here. So, as I go through this, I want you guys to, if you have questions, if you want to talk about something as we're going through it, please feel free. One of the things that I wanted to bring up first was why are we doing our own salary report in the first place? I think it's important that we, as the mostly Utah community, get more data around salaries, because I think that there's lots of people not fully understanding the salaries the ranges that we have in the Utah area specifically. The salary report didn't only limit it to Utah, so we open it up to any other states. But the majority of this is kind of weird because the camera's over there and all you people are over here. So they're either gonna get my back most of the time, or I don't know how this is gonna work out, but what? Okay, I will talk to you directly, and these people may not get anything. There's camera. Oh, there's one camera there that's recording, and then the Zoom camera is up there. So I'll just spin around every once in a while. Anyway, okay. Also, a couple caveats. This is all self-reported data, so it's honor code. I hope you all put in, and I'm assuming everyone here put in their salaries. So it's on you. This data is on you. Okay, we'll jump into it. I just want to do a quick thank you to Divi and Blake for hosting the event, for letting us come get together, for providing food. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I also want to say a quick thank you to our premier sponsor, Lucid. We appreciate your support. And then we'll jump into it. So the salary report that we put together had 643 total responses. We have 305 product design, 255 product management, 36 user research. Was the breakdown. As far as gender representation, it's mostly 67% male. We got 30% female, and then we've got a sliver of gender non-conforming and prefer not to say. And somebody put in specifically, I am a man, I guess. So as far as location, 74% of it is from Utah. And then this sliver here of purple is California. That's the majority of it, is California and Utah. The rest are other states. And company, it's interesting to see a little bit about if you're where you're located as an individual and where you're located, your company is headquartered. And the headquarters for the companies, 60% of them are in Utah, 11% in California, and then the rest spread across. So there's a good 10-15% difference there of people working for out-of-state companies as opposed to in-state. Education, 60% have gotten bachelor's degrees. The other 26% have master's degrees, and then there's additional associates, certifications, etc. How well did your education experience prepare you for your career in design or research, product design or research? It's interesting to see the breakdown here of their education. Only 34% of people and above, I guess 46%. I don't do math in public. I don't know why I'm presenting all this stuff, but are pretty happy with their education as far as what they learned and was applied to their job. I don't know if anybody has any feelings about that in particular, but it seems like less than half of you are not as happy with your education. Company type. I think this is pretty important because the majority of all of this data is for software companies. So I was really curious to see how many people from like agencies would put in their salaries versus an in-house technology company. And then company size. So we're all over the place on company size. Starting with the blue right here, 14% is 1 to 50, 10%, 50 to 100, and so forth. So there's a good chunk of each represented in the salary report. So here's some of the breakdown of those in product design who reported. So the majority of the people that reported their salaries were senior product designers and product designers. So you had about 200 of those people were in those two buckets of their current role. And then the salary ranges. This is where the fun stuff comes in. So this is all the salary ranges across all of the different levels and where the peaks are at. So if as a product designer and a senior product designer, this is like the peak main area of where the salary ranges are, between 100,000 and 120,000 is the main area. But I'm going to go into each individual specific area. So the leadership salaries versus the lower salaries. So VPs are sitting around 140,000 to 200,000. And one other thing that to keep in mind here is, and I'll show you in an Airtable of all the raw data. I haven't actually, this is the base salary for everyone. This isn't bonus or stock, because not everybody put bonus and stock in, but there was a good percentage of them. And those things ranged like crazy. So some people had a bonus of $1,000. Some people had a bonus of $100,000, which was pretty crazy. I'll pull some of those up and kind of show you. I'm just going to be as transparent as possible. I'm with all of it. Senior directors. I don't know why I didn't bucket this with directors as well for product design, but there was only 5 responses for senior directors, and they ranged from 140 all the way up to 270 or 260. So, and directors are kind of, this is an interesting thing that I'm seeing when it comes to the director side. Do you have a question? Yep. So there's other aspects that we need to layer into this that we haven't, which is like size of company versus how long you've been, yeah, location. I think the location stuff, we'll need to pull that out a little bit because there's not a ton from California or the other states, but I think the years of experience play into it, as well as size of company. But it is really interesting to see that VPs are getting paid similarly to senior directors. And then senior directors, it's like, I don't know what to give you, so I'm going to range from like $100,000 here. So they're all, I mean, this is only 5. So keep that in mind. It's only five people input. Now from the director's side, we have more data there, but it's still slightly skewed of going all the way down to $80,000 all the way up to 300,000 plus. So it's kind of all over the place. And to me, if you think about that in relation to the ranges, is that I don't think we're as sophisticated with how much we should pay leadership, to be honest. And it really varies drastically. There's also the fact that some leaders in management get a larger chunk of bonus or other compensation. So you might get paid a lot less from a base salary and you get more bonus. So this might even out when we actually get time to go through like total comp. But this is just base. So as you go into manager, it starts to feel a little bit more like there's trends going on where there's these 4, 5 in the middle of 120 to 170. And then you start to see even more trends as you go down into principal, which is 100 to 190, but even more so for senior. So I think people are really, I'll focus in on it a little bit more, but senior and product designer have really clear like midpoints within their ranges. But as you go into anything more leadership, either IC leadership or management, it starts to get a little bit harder to tell where the range should be. Any questions on the well, there's senior, which is the majority of people who submitted there's these outliers. One person's getting paid $50,000 and another person's getting paid $200,000. So like, I don't know where those are coming from, to be fully honest, but you can see a clear range of 90 to 150 if you think about the core range. Oh, okay. Yeah, if somebody can manage the chats, that would manager right here. So it's interesting that a lot of them are getting paid 120 or 160, and you kind of go down in the middle of it. Again, this is probably only 20, or I need to add in the total count of how many people have submitted their range for each one of these. Any questions on those? Thoughts? Which one? Product designer is this one. So again, what I can infer if I look at the raw data is that between product designer and senior designer, and even product designer and associate designer, some people are when you first get hired, you're just called a product designer. They don't actually have an official associate designer role. So you might see some product designers that are getting paid like an associate designer, but as a product designer, you can see like the majority of people either out of the gate are getting paid at a minimum $70,000. And if you infer that to the associate designer role, you kind of see similar things. It's between 50 and 90. But it's really close to the 160, 170 that you start out as a product designer. And then it slowly goes up from there. Okay. Thoughts? Any other thoughts? Questions? Okay, senior. What's that? So it's mostly Utah. So it's 90, what was it? 74% of it was from Utah. Oh, yeah. The question is this mostly from Utah? So yeah, 74% of the data is from Utah. Okay, that's the designer ranges. Any questions on the designer ranges before we go into product? I was mostly surprised by the bonuses, and I think that the lack of consistency with the leadership, I think, was the two like key insights that I saw from the data, was that there's not consistency in how much a VP gets paid versus a director versus a senior director, and the maturity level of an organization probably plays into that. Whether okay, we only have one design leader, so we're going to call him a VP of design, or we're going to hire him in at a director level because of a certain salary choice that we have. And so I think a lot of those, I'd be curious to see, and I could easily pull that, of what do the salary ranges look like from VP all the way down to product design manager, and see like if the trends change. But yeah. Okay. All right. Product. Again, similar cases here. The majority of people that submitted their salaries were from product managers and senior product managers. There's less directors of products. Obviously, that's the common thing, but less senior managers or group product managers. And I'd love to hear some of Brandon's thoughts on that stuff, because I know he's got some thoughts there. But it from the data perspective, the majority of the data is based on the product manager and senior product manager. Let's see. No. Okay, so total product management is interesting. They're a little bit, for the curve itself, product management actually gets paid a little bit more than product design in general. The curve is a little bit farther to the right. Same with, so what I did with product management is I did bucket chief product officer, senior VP, and VP all into one range, because it's the same problem that we're having on the product design leadership level. You might see a senior VP getting paid less than a VP, or you might see a CPO actually kind of in the mid-level. CPOs are probably around 170 and up, but still a VP, some VPs are getting paid 170 and 180. And I can go into those aspects. I'm going to pull up the Airtable towards the end, and you'll see how it's kind of intertwined. But it is interesting to see that a VP is getting paid 111,000 when you've got senior product designers getting paid, or senior product management getting paid that or more. The 300,000 plus, I can pull that up and show you. I think some of those outliers in the 300,000 and more tend to be from the California group. The ones that are really high on the curves tend to be from the California groups. Product management directors. There's a decent amount of data that we got from directors. there's a big jump from senior product manager to director, and there's not much in between, but there's enough directors to kind of see a decent range here. But even at the director level, you see a few getting 100,000 and a few getting 190,000. So there's no clear, I'd have to figure out what the median is there and the mean, but group and senior. So there weren't very many group product managers, and they sat more on the mid to higher end of the what seniors were getting paid anyway. So I just kind of combined them together. But you can clearly see, like, as a senior product manager, you're getting paid 120 to 150. Similar trends that you see within the product design discipline, where the senior, that's a pretty common curve, pretty easy to see curve. Same with the product management curve. It's pretty clear that the average is 100,000 to 110,000 for a product manager role. Entry level, similar, $70,000, $80,000 for an entry level product manager. Product management associate is kind of a weird range. They can't quite decide whether an associate should get paid higher than or really low. So there's a little bit of confusion there. But any questions on the PM side of things? This one was just weird. I think the leadership's kind of all over the place again. And I think we'll have to dig more deep into the data again to just figure out. I feel like some leadership gets more stock options that are worth more, or higher bonuses depending on what they're providing, but and then size of company as well. We don't have graphs per se, but I'll pull up the website. We did do a comparison between whether women or men were getting paid the same, and it's still lower than the men. And I'll have to pull that up, and you can kind of see the difference. But there is still a discrepancy there. We do want to put into these graphs like the men versus women rollout, so that you can see the differences in the different areas, so that it gets a little bit more detailed. All right. I feel like I'm boring you all. Is this helpful? We're going to go into research. So research, we don't have as much data. This is on you researchers. We got to get more people to fill out the survey, but we have similar situations here. Seniors and user researchers were the two top areas. The ranges are kind of all over the place. It doesn't seem as trend oriented. It's trends in the front and in the middle. For directors and managers, I only got 2 responses for that. So take for what it's worth. It's 100,000 to 180,000. Senior user researcher, similar-ish trend there, 100,000 to 130,000. And then a user researcher seems pretty focused in on the 90-ish thousand is kind of your main peak there. And that's all I got. So I'm gonna pull up the data here in, let's see. So I have this Airtable that I'll show. Well, first, to your point, the average salary between men and women, it's still a pretty good gap here. 115 to 75. So there's a decent gap between the two genders there. What's that? So it's this is ranging on 305 product design responses across all levels, across all averages. And then for product, it's smack dab even. So product's doing a better job than us when I think of myself as a product designer. And then research is also more even. Yeah, so we're doing it across just product design, and it would be interesting to see like the overall across all three of them, but so we'll get all of this data up onto our site. This is our first attempt to starting to get that data up onto our website, producthive.org. But we'll have it all up there soon. We have this Airtable that we'll provide to everyone, but you can see certain trends. Which ones did you want to see? I was going to show you the leadership ones for each area. But if I go into this and show you, hold on, let me put this down. If I take the group out and sort by no, we want to sort by different field. So if we just look at these itself, you can kind of see that you got some product design directors right here that are in the between 80 and 150. You start, it's interesting to see, like you would think that this 11 years would be higher up here towards the 140. But again, that's subjective, and just because you've been doing it for 11 years doesn't necessarily mean you're better at it. But VP of design starts down in this lower area. But senior directors, this senior director in particular is getting paid more than a VP of design. But this VP of design and this VP of design both work for a small startup with less than 50 people. Little things like that start to play into the data, which is I find fascinating. But there's this director of product design up here that's graduated high school, Arizona, gets 300,000 plus a year. So California-based company. to your point earlier. Is there any, I mean, I can provide this raw data to you all and you guys can comb through those little aspects of it around the discrepancies between different ranges and different levels. But from there, I think you guys can infer what information you want out of it. But hopefully this has been helpful. I don't really have anything else to add. Is there any questions? We'll share out all the data. Please share it with the people you know. We're going to try to do an annual report each year and cap it so that we can see the trends year over year to see if things are how things are being handled. But thanks for coming out. Thanks, Divvy, again for the lunch and for letting us come hang out at their office. So, okay.